All right, we look forward to that. Meanwhile, Fox News alert now on the tensions between Russia and Ukraine as an invasion looms. Moscow ramping up its military presence along the Ukrainian border. Russian warplanes, fighter jets, and warships all practicing training exercise and war games. Let's bring in Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. He's a member of the Armed Forces and Intel Committees. Senator, great to have you here. Do you believe this invasion is imminent? We continue to get brand new reports, it seems like almost hourly, of Russia building up its presence, most recently, according to our own Lucas Tomlinson, on the Belarus border. So is this attack about to happen?
Sandra, before I get to Ukraine, I just want to express on behalf of all Arkansans our condolences to the families of those slain officers in New York and to their extended family in NYPD. As you said, it was a heartbreaking scene. As for Ukraine, I do believe that Russia now has the troops assembled not only on its border with Ukraine, but into Belarus and its naval and marine forces in the Black Sea, that it could invade imminently. It may want to wait a bit longer to get a few more enabling troops in, things like hospital units and medevac units. Perhaps Vladimir Putin wants to wait for a couple more weeks so as not to upstage the Beijing Olympics for Xi Jinping. But I do believe that Russia now has the troop numbers assembled and positioned in places where they could go for the jugular in Ukraine, strike all the way to the Dnieper River, to Kyiv on the west bank of the Dnieper River, take the entire Black Sea coast of Ukraine. It is a very dangerous situation, and it's an end result of a year of irresolution and weakness, not only from Joe Biden, but from too many of our European partners.
Former Ambassador Rick Grenell putting out a tweet really digging into this administration. Joe Biden is the most pro-Russian president we have ever had, says Grenell. He gave them a pipeline of money and influence into Europe. You put up the map here, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, quite clearly showing the dependency Germany has on Russia for their natural gas, getting about half of what they need from there. We have options. Why do you believe this administration is not being more proactive, as it does appear we're waiting for Putin to make the next move?
Yeah, unfortunately, Sandra, that's the story of Joe Biden's foreign policy for his first year in office. He's been constantly on the back foot, whether it's with Russia by giving the concessions that Ambassador Grenell just cited, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, for instance, or giving them a one-sided extension of the New START arms control treaty, or freeing a Russian cybercriminal from jail before his prison sentence was up. But also, if you look at what happened in Afghanistan in August with the nuclear negotiations with Iran, President Biden has been weak and passive against our adversaries. And that's not surprisingly has emboldened our adversaries. They believe that Uncle Sam has a kick me sign on his back, and they're taking advantage of the United States right now.
That's a big statement. All right, we will get more on that later in the hour. But meanwhile, I want to ask you about what we just heard from President Biden as he stepped up to the microphone there at the White House and announced alongside Justice Breyer, the Supreme Court Justice's retirement. And he also hinted at, I guess he should say he was very clear on how he plans to replace his seat on the bench. Watch.
The person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first Black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court.
I'll ask you to react to that, Senator.
Well, first, Sandra, while I didn't often agree with Justice Breyer's jurisprudence, I want to honor and thank his decades of service to our country in uniform as a young soldier and all the way through his career up to being on the Supreme Court. For the president's comments, I'm less worried about the color of the nominee's skin or her sex and more worried about her legal philosophy. I'm fearful that the president is going to nominate a left-wing ideologue who believes it's the Supreme Court's role to write the laws and make the laws, not apply and interpret the laws. The reason I'm fearful of that is I've seen his nominees to the lower courts for the last year, and almost uniformly they have been radicals, left-wing ideologues who want to impose the left's vision for America on this country through the courts, as opposed to trying to persuade their fellow Americans at the ballot box and then in legislatures across the country.
I've got to leave it there, Senator, but real quick final on that. Do you believe the timing of this announcement was some sort of political strategy on the part of this administration to sort of change the subject, considering the mounting crises that this administration is facing?
I can't comment on what was happening in the Biden White House. You're right that they have a lot of political crises, and I imagine that it might be in the back of Justice Breyer's mind that if he waited much longer, there'd be a Republican majority in the Senate after this November because of rising inflation and rising crime and weakness abroad and general dissatisfaction with Joe Biden's presidency.
Very interesting. All right, Senator Cotton, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you.